My mother constantly body shames me, and I have no clue what to tell her. Some context. I, 15 female, have had problems with my body and my eating habits basically since I have memories. I have been a chubby child pretty much my whole life, and my mother, 57, did not ever miss a chance to point it out. I even have a fond memory of my mother telling me I was so chubby that I could roll on the floor instead of walking when I was around 7. However, serious problems started when I turned 11 and started middle school. At the time I was slightly overweight, nothing to be excessively worried about. And while my eating habits were already not that healthy, I did not care that much about the shape of my body unless my mother pointed it out from time to time. In middle school I started dealing with a lot of bullying not caused by body shape, but due to my pretty weird personality and inability to make friends. Upon telling my mother, she shrugged it off with the usual, "Just ignore them." As much as I would try to ignore them, their behavior was pretty wild, going from making secret group chats in which I would be a meme, to somehow stealing my diary from my backpack, reading it and then proceeding to rip some pages off. Now mind, I did not have any friends to talk about it with either, and this is where it truly started going south, as I found binge eating, especially in sweet treats, my only way of venting. I will not go into the details of what I used to eat on a daily for obvious reason, but thinking about it now still kind of makes me sick. Now clearly what I was doing to myself was dangerously unhealthy, and obviously my body started to feel it too. And while middle schoolers added it to the list of reason to pick on me, my mother definitely wasn't the loveliest either. Now onto the actual story. Started all with indirect sentences, comments about my body, comparison to my sisters. Then she started bringing it up to her friends in front of me, like it was unusual small talk with no harm intended. Quite obviously, it was indeed harming to me. However, my mother at the time was pretty aggressive, and both me and my sister would avoid picking any fights with her or pointing out any offensive behavior, as it would result in a tantrum in most cases. This situation lasted around 1 year, when I didn't really care about my shape. Then it started getting in my head. I would be hearing comments about my body again and again and again from both family and classmates, and it led to me starting to obsess over it. So I began an endless cycle of starvation and binge eating periods. I would eat little to nothing and then be so destroyed by this kind of lifestyle after a mere week that I would then fall even deeper in the hole of binge eating. This was even worse and often led me to a constant bad mood too. Now in this case, my mother would be cheering on me when starving myself as I was actually trying and going on a diet. Mind, I was around 12 at the time, which was even worse, since with little to no education about healthy eating habits and such, I thought those unhealthy diets I would go on from time to time were actually the healthy way to lose weight. This second situation lasts about 3 whole years, in which middle school luckily ends, and the high school I choose is a pretty good environment, who doesn't seem to care about my body shape. However, my mother does not stop her path, while she was also pushing my older sister, around 17 at the time, to go on a diet. She also starts making more and more comments towards me, to the point I actually do not remember having conversation with my mother that was either about school or my body. In the very same time I started developing, and my chest began to grow too, and while this looks like a silly argument, my mother started obsessing about it too. Since I have 2 sisters, I generally never bought any clothes for myself, and just had their old clothes, which was definitely fine with me, until they started to not fit anymore because of my shape. At this point the era of clothes shopping with my mother began, which is also the reason why I'm making this post right now. Buying clothes with my mother is the worst experience ever. Whenever we're in a shop looking for clothes that suits me, she just picks the larger size of whatever she likes, and I feel like I'm kind of forced to not make any suggestion about how I would want to dress, as anything I like will make me look like an ass. That her words. And I'm not a fashion designer, but I can assure you the clothes I would like are not much revealing at all. At first I kept living with it, like any other time she brought up my body with her friends. Then she started talking to the shop workers about it. Strangers, literal strangers. She started insulting my body to literal strangers with no kind of consent whatsoever. It was all over and over again, of her mentioning how my chest is so big that no clothes could eventually fit me, that if I just went on a diet my chest would shrink too, and I would be such a nice looking girl. She even told them that I wanted to dress slutty, and I couldn't do it because I am fat. Needless to say, I cry really hard in the changing room every time this happens. And those rare times where she surprises me crying. When we got home, She yells at me demanding I tell her why I was crying. Every time I tell her that it's kind of uncomfortable to me that she talks to random people about my body, she always seems to forget about it. Like nothing ever happened, like I didn't even say anything. She ends it with the, "Okay then, I won't talk to anyone ever again," line. And then proceeds to do it anyway. But what is funnier to me is if I say instead that I'm crying because I don't like how my body looks. That woman has the audacity of asking me why do I have a low self-esteem, and that I'm really pretty. And I would be even prettier if I just lost weight. I'm 15 now, and my requests of going to a therapist, since I'm kind of sure I have an eating disorder, were always kind of ignored. I did go to a therapist a while ago, but my mother just mysteriously stopped the meetings after a while. So I decided to roll up my sleeves and try to make a positive turn by myself. I absolutely hate with all my heart and soul the thought of going on a specific diet, and I find it really hard and stressful to count my calories too. But it's been a while since I'm trying to eat intuitively, and it's going great. I made my own path. I'm starting to like my body again, even if I really hate the way I dress. And while my relationship with food is still not anywhere good, it's surely a lot healthier than what it used to be. I'm much more in shape too. And I began to not cry anymore anytime my mother makes one of her comments in public. However, the said comments never stopped. Instead, my sister, now 20, started going along with it too. She became kind of obsessed with her diet and constantly counts every calorie she eats. And while I'm really happy for her engaging in healthy habits, although not sure how healthy they are to be honest, I do not love the idea of her forcing her diet on me too, obviously with my mother's support. Around 3 days ago specifically, it was the first time ever that I had to go clothes shopping, not only with my mother, but with my sister too. And while I'm in the changing room trying the dresses they picked for me, after they told the workers I needed something large and elastic to cover my big chest, I hear them whispering. The lines are always the same. My mother talking with the workers saying how I want to dress in a way I can't dress. How it's embarrassing and so heartbreaking for her to see me having such an unhealthy body, etc. Until my sister says to my mother, "You should tell her something, she needs to go on a diet."